Future Commerce is brought to you by GroupBuy. You can transform your customers' e-commerce experience with GroupBuy's new product discovery platform, which is powered by Google Cloud Retail AI. Stay tuned for more on how GroupBuy and Google are revolutionizing e-commerce search and recommendations later on in the show. This episode of Future Commerce is brought to you by Wix. That's right, Wix. The industry-leading content management platform is now also an industry-leading e-commerce platform with advanced online storefront features and over 700,000 active stores already selling worldwide. Find out if Wix is right for you by going to wix.com/e-commerce today. That's Wix, wix.com/e-commerce, or listen to the middle of the show to find out more about how they can transform your business. Hey, has anyone told you today that you look gorgeous? Well, if not, now they have. Future Commerce is brought to you by Gorgeous, which is the #1 e-commerce help desk for Shopify, Magento, and BigCommerce brands. With Gorgeous, you can automate up to 20% of your commonly asked questions and put it seamlessly into your existing tech stack. Go to gorgias.com/futurecommerce for 2 months free. That's gorgias.com/futurecommerce for 2 months free. Welcome to Future Commerce, the podcast about the next generation of commerce. I'm Philip.
I'm Brian.
And we're this, if everything went to plan, we are launching our rebrand today.
It's today.
Woo! I wanted to tell a story real quick.
I like stories.
When we started this show 5 years ago, I went on squarespace.com and their logo creator. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it says, we'll design a logo for you.
Yeah, I remember this.
Squarespace had a logo creator. This episode, by the way, brought to you by Wix. So that's fun. Let's talk about Squarespace for 5 minutes. So Squarespace has this logo creator, and they said, what is the name of your business? And I was like, Future Commerce. Back then it was all one word because we were cool. Or
not cool.
And it shows, it literally just gave me a rocket ship with the words Future Commerce all in nondescript font. Some font that I don't even know what the font was. It was kind of roundy looking. It's all like lowercase, all shoved together. And I thought, that's good enough. It's good enough for now.
It was good enough for that.
And I thought that would last for maybe 2 weeks until we, got around to really designing something. And that lasted for 2.5 years, maybe.
Something like that.
Stupid freaking rocket ship.
What's cool? What's really cool though is like it was so.
The fact that I didn't pay for that logo, I was supposed to pay $5 for it, and I screenshot it and traced it in Illustrator instead on the matter of principle. That's the cool. Was that cool?
That was.
Is that
not
what you're
cool.
talking about?
That was not cool.
I should go back and pay for it now.
Yeah, you probably should.
Probably.
What was cool was that like rocket ships became something awesome after that. I guess I don't know if they're awesome or not, but like we were ahead. We were ahead of the rocket ship trend. That's all I'm saying. I don't know.
Rocket ships were very popular. I mean, like, wasn't Quicken Loans a rocket ship for a little while?
Yeah, it was, and they really took off.
Badum-cha.
In the last 18 months, to the moon, baby, like that's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the best. So we are redesigning and rebranding. And, just honing in on that brand identity. And I do want to call out and thank, just the expert guidance of the folks at All True and Jesse Tyler for leading our, expert continuation of the evolution of the Future Commerce brand. And this is the story, when we sat down with Jesse and then his then partner, Gio, back in now 2018, maybe the end of 2018 or somewhere around there. And we said we'd like to really put an identity to this once was a podcast, now is a business. And we're gonna start doing research, and we're gonna launch into written content, and we're gonna have a newsletter, and we're gonna do all these things. And they put this deck together. Do you remember the deck? The first pitch?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember what you felt when we saw that first pitch?
I was excited. I have to say, I was.
Are you ever excited? Not excited about anything?
Yes, there's moments when I'm not excited, I guess.
Like this moment right now on this podcast with me at this moment.
It's
lacking the Brian Lang enthusiasm.
Oh, don't worry, it'll come. It'll come when we'll get to it. It's coming. Also,
the enthusiasm will come later. Why don't you just pull it into the right now?
Yeah,
bring
you know
the
what?
enthusiasm right now.
Okay, fine. I will do that. It was
what
incredible.
Did you feel? It was incredible.
I felt like I was like on like cloud 9. We had taken our rocket ship, maybe not to the moon, but to the clouds at least. And we got into symbolism. We got into, like things that we actually cared about that represented the things we believed in, the things that we believed for the business, and really built a brand identity that reflected who where we were at, and where we were going, and represented, what we saw as the future of commerce, as it should be, as we hoped it would be, as the way we wanted to help bring it into being. And that initial deck, like helped actually give me vision for where we could go.
This is the excitement I was hoping for. I needed a little Brian.
And let me just add to this, because now I'm going to spit into the mic here shortly and make everything pop. But
this is the content everyone subscribes for.
I hope so.
Is for us to navel gaze at the things that like are, foundational to literally any business online.
Any business.
Let us wax poetic about, the fact that Jesse and Gio put, a Roman god in front of us, and my jaw dropped,
But let me continue. Which is this next round of branding. I think it was a similar feeling, right? This next round of branding represents the.
Whoops! I muted you by accident, trying to mute myself. Let's leave that in the show because that's going to be really funny.
You muted me.
Sorry.
You're like, Brian, don't give it away.
No, my kids are playing in the background, and I accidentally muted you trying to mute myself. I'm sorry about that. Sorry. Go back to what you were saying.
Oh my gosh, Philip's like, shut this guy up already.
No way. No, we've been doing this for 200 plus episodes. I'm used to it.
Gosh. Where I was headed was, I think that this brand represents not just future commerce, the brands, but the next generation of what we think about where the future of commerce is going. And so I am hyped. I am hyped. We got 9 concepts back when we first started doing this rebrand. That and like
every one of them were great.
Yeah,
everyone better than the last.
Yes, and we could have walked away with any single version. And I was like, why don't we go the faculty route here? Because like they did what does that mean? 7 official different brands.
The brand faculty.
Yes, faculty. The like the men's nail polish brand had like 7 different.
Yeah, they have a fluid brand identity.
Yes.
In faculty.world if you were interested in checking it out. And yes, they have sort of a fluid brand identity, which I think would mesh very well with their customers' sort of fluid identity of their, potentially their gender or the way that they gender identify in the way they wear clothes and style themselves. So we're brand fluid. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we did land on something.
Yeah, we did choose a direction.
But I do think that it was so good that we're actually using some of the different artwork in different places because it was all
for sure.
Very on point.
Anyway, we've rebranded. 9 minutes on the rebrand. Anyway, it's a very exciting thing for us. Hey, it just happened and it's come up on Twitter, so I'm going to mention it. But Intuit is buying MailChimp. It's official. It's definitely happening. I want to get your live reaction.
I saw and posted in our census channel.
$12 billion in stock and cash.
You know what? You know what? Maybe Intuit's on
What?
something. Intuit is a juggernaut for a reason.
This is. I'll tell you why right now. Writing's on the wall. 5 years from now, Mailchimp is not even going to exist, because this is here. I'll tell you right now. This quote, okay? This quote from Sasan Goodarzi, who's the CEO of Intuit, says, "Together, Mailchimp and QuickBooks will help solve small and mid-market businesses' biggest barriers to growth, getting and retaining customers." I'll tell you right now, if there ever was two things that I didn't think would appear in a sentence together, it's Mailchimp and QuickBooks. Does the Mailchimp crowd, I mean, maybe Mailchimp users like by and large use QuickBooks. Maybe that's true. I would be shocked.
This makes a ton of sense. Like, think about like big enterprise level ERP plays and the types of things they've acquired. Like, but SAP acquired Amarsis, right? And like,
yes, but SAP was already in the email marketing business
Oracle
before they
acquired Bronco. Well, they did.
Well, Oracle acquired Bronto and then let it, slip into its quiet slumber.
That's true.
They killed it. It was more of a snatch and grab.
It was a little bit of a snatch and grab. But my point in saying this is it's
consolidation is
surprising.
Who else would buy? Who else would have bought? If there's a parallel timeline, which I know you love, the multiverse.
I love talking about options that could have happened.
Yeah, well, then why do you hate the multiverse? Then
because it's wrong. It doesn't exist.
Okay. It does exist. Your consciousness is. Did you ever watch Devs?
Yeah, of course.
You did not.
Did
you watch Devs?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I watched
the
Devs.
TV show.
I watched it as it was being released. I was so in on Devs
as it was being released.
Yes.
Insanely good. There's a multiverse show.
Yeah,
and you still hate anyway. Okay. Anyway, I'm trying to get somewhere. QuickBooks, also from the press release, QuickBooks helps more than 7 million small and medium-sized mid-market businesses get paid fast and access capital and blah, blah, blah. Earlier up, it says that MailChimp has 13 million total users and 2.4 million monthly actives.
Yeah, that would be a reason to acquire it.
13 million total, 2.4 million monthly actives, and 800,000 paid customers. If you did the pyramid there of paid versus monthly active versus total, it's a impressive business with an impressive exit, with very few deciding to actually spend money on it.
Yeah, but it is a huge audience. I mean,
you're talking like 6%. If 6% of people spent money on anything else in this world, would it even exist? I don't know. It's a shocking thing. Anyway, where they make their money is not on paid users, by the way. MailChimp makes all kinds of money from a lot of different ways, including, it's not mentioned in this press release, but I only have to imagine in the sort of business that they're in.
Lemon Stand.
Is no the e-commerce platform that literally nobody uses. No, it's that they basically control or own a tremendous amount of email delivery. They know who people are, and that is valuable, identifiable research. Their ability to create data overlay and probably sell that back to Nielsen or IRI is probably a large part of their business and top line revenue. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
But that is and that's also me not knowing how these things work, but I only can stand to reason that that's how a company like this might make money, because that's how I might try to make money on a business like that. Anyway,
still,
largest
sale
ever of a bootstrapped company.
Yeah,
that's incredible. And it's one that we have operated our business on for 5 years, MailChimp. So they can only credit, and we are a paying customer of MailChimp. So it's all due to us, really, at the end of the day.
Probably.
This is our success.
I'd say so.
We have missed like a million things that have happened in the world of commerce because we haven't done a show that's just you and me in quite a while. I wanted to hit a bunch of topical stuff that I think really leans into sort of the dark side of future commerce from, many years ago that we might have surmised.
Oh man, we're going dark right now. I was going to go like funding acquisition because there's a lot of that going on to catch up on.
But there's so much of it like that could literally just be its own podcast.
I
know. What are some of the ones that are top of mind for you?
I mean, headless is just blowing up right now.
Commerce Tools. Commerce Tools joins Cord and Fabric and a recent Shogun round as being one of the last four or five that has brought, I think, the total funding. I saw this number quoted somewhere. The total amount of capital invested in headless plays is in excess of $1 billion now, and with this round probably pushing 1.25. The amount of bets on the number of players as headless solutions on top of Shopify. I mean, they're all Shopify plays, with the exception of Cord.
Not Commerce. Commerce Tools is not.
Fabric, I guess, as well. Okay, so what I said makes no sense. Many of these, Shogun, Nacelle, Pack Digital, a lot of them, they're all these sort of layers on Shopify. I find this to be interesting. We are entering into strategic partnerships with a couple of these because I do believe the future of commerce is better customer experience, which means more flexible layout, greater control for the marketer, and less dependency on back-end developer expertise for a front-end developer to make those immersive commerce experiences. So I do think there will be headless. Headless is an emergent and necessary part of designing, especially if you look at, say, like shout out to WebSmith, 2PM, the top 20 direct-to-consumer, the top direct-to-consumer brands that he tracks live week to week on the DNVB power list over at 2PM. Of that top 20, 25% run a custom cart or a headless play of some sort. So, I mean, there's a strong correlation with experience design and having a superlative and differentiated direct to consumer brand. But that's my perspective. What's your thoughts? You brought it up. What's your thoughts on the headless?
I mean, you covered a lot of them already.
Sorry.
I think that's exactly right. Like, we are entering an age where the marketer is sort of king. That a lot of like the things that we used to spend development budget on need to go into other parts of the business or into integrations with new tools that people need, like that marketers need. Integrations with CDPs and PIMs and things like that are essential for having a good, or being able to actually address your customers. And so the investment makes sense, and I see some big winners coming out of this. And
it makes sense, but let me ask a question that's going to lead you in the same direction that my thinking is. How do you acquire customers to your brand new headless build? How do you drive people to that site?
It's very similar to what we do now.
It is the same as what we do now, right? It's the same channel.
Yep.
It's still web commerce. So you've got mobile web, right? Desktop web. And theoretically, they're both like an average of the two. What you build is like one site to display to them all. It's kind of an average best fit experience. Let's say you don't do headless or progressive web app or whatever the heck we call it. Let's say you don't do that. What do you do instead? What do you build?
You build a responsive website.
Well, okay. No, I mean, like, let's say you wanted the next level up, the next tick up, right?
I'm sorry. I think I did backwards, forwards. Yeah. The next tick up would be something that probably was only in context, 100% in context. Yeah.
You're building an app. You're actually building a native app. Look on the top 10 on iOS, right? 3 or 4 of the top 10 downloaded apps are retail brands.
Well, hold on. I would argue that headless and mobile app are not mutually exclusive.
No, they're not. But adopting a headless platform might hydrate your the catalog needs of, say, like a mobile app.
Yeah, definitely. It could.
I'm saying most of these headless play. I'm trying to. Sorry.
Yeah. Go where you want to go.
I want you to make the counter argument along the way.
Yeah.
The argument I'm making is that I think apps may have long been considered dead, but there are a number of changes recently that are in play, especially this Epic versus Apple ruling around captive payments. I think for those who aren't aware, Epic is embroiled in this lawsuit with Apple that may change the way fundamentally that app stores run in these closed ecosystems. And Apple's been a walled garden for, a decade in its app store. And that might be changing. And starting with the inability for Apple to be able to only allow payments to happen in context through its Apple Pay service or through Apple Payments. So the walls around app stores might be crumbling. And my thinking is there's an under-leveraged channel in app stores in acquiring customers. If you're on the top 10 of the Apple iOS apps, that is a natural channel for growth.
Yeah, I totally agree. In fact, we're starting to, I believe, and I should probably go double check this, but I think that the openness to download an app is actually going up compared to where it was at just even a few years ago, because there was a time period where people were downloading apps like crazy. And then everyone was like, oh my gosh, I have too many apps. And then all of a sudden it was like no one was downloading any net new apps, like except for like once every 6 months or something like that. It was crazy. Like if you downloaded an app, you were kind of weird, because phones actually only had a limited amount of space. Do you remember when you only had 64 gigs on your phone? And actually a lot of people, that would actually be a step up. Would have been a step up. That would have been sort of best in class for a lot of people, 64 gigabytes. And even that was pretty limiting. You had to like manage your photos. You had to manage your apps.
I don't even know if it's just that. Like most apps were just crappy.
Also, they were pretty crappy. Yeah, that's true.
They were really bad, right? So it's like the world sort of collapsed in on 4 or 5 super apps that did all these things. And that's what gave, Facebook Marketplace, gave, rise to the ability to transact in like local commerce in Facebook, is because, Craigslist kind of sucked. And you weren't sure if you were, buying a mirror or, accidentally, hooking up with some dude somewhere. And then there's like a whole world of, these Amazon, obviously you have, Amazon and Facebook. But now I think apps are actually, there are direct to consumer brands who launched app first.
Yes, right? That's true. Let's do a little thought experiment. What was the last app that you downloaded?
I mean, it takes me no thought at all, because I download apps all of the time.
Interesting. So what was it?
Yeah, the last app I downloaded, let's go in reverse order because I can just do that on my phone. I downloaded a metronome app for practicing music called Soundbrenner. That was yesterday. 2 days before that, the American Airlines app. A few days before that, I installed Shein, the clothing retail.
Nobody knows how to say it. Nobody knows how to say it.
That's that's the fun part of it. I bet you people know how to say it if they actually went and did any research whatsoever, which I've not done. Before that, I installed Patreon, where I'm getting some content recently. There's direct to consumer and content for you. Before that, I installed the New Jersey Transit and MTA apps. You want me to keep going? This is all in the last week and a half.
We're done. Okay.
I install apps like crazy recently.
Yeah, that's a lot. Dude, you are on an app tear.
I have like 5. I have 5 like crypto wallets.
Oh my gosh, dude! Like your phone gives me a little bit of anxiety.
I've got No, it's incredibly well organized. Everything's like prioritized by how far I have to reach with my thumb.
Yeah, I do that too. Like
I've got like
my
7 different shopping apps just for shoes.
Wait, but your thumb must be able to reach pretty far.
It reaches, baby. I've got a very reachable thumb.
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't install apps. You're not the consumer I'm talking about.
No,
I'm highly experimental. Always looking for something new, sort of maven of, I want to be at the forefront of everything new and cool and hip. That's the person who's installing a ton of apps. I'm just a quick Google tells me an article in September said that the pandemic fueled a 35% hike in e-commerce app installs, which was 12% above Q4 2019. And consumer spending on apps. This is an article from, so that was businessofapps.com, which definitely is, a very reputable source. TechCrunch back in June had a had a article about consumer spending hitting a record 64.9 billion in the first half of this year. And that installs were up across the board in every category. And that's up almost 24.8% from the same period the year before. The pandemic has fueled a lot of experimental app installs. And I mean, they're not all of the top 10 overall apps. Most of them are entertainment, right? Or social.
Yeah.
But the ones beyond that are commerce centered. And that's, I think, really interesting.
How many of the apps that you downloaded in the past 2 weeks do you think you're going to uninstall?
Oh, quite a bit of them. But I don't think that, Patreon's going to stay, obviously.
Yeah.
New Jersey Transit MTA, I'm going to uninstall as we speak because I'm not in New York this week. Shein, I don't know. I don't buy women's clothing and I don't buy enough of it to post haul videos on my TikTok. So, but it's really interesting as an experiment to see what everybody's talking about. If you go to Google's App Store, the shopping apps, Shein's number one. And I'm pretty sure I'm saying it wrong, but I'm going to stick with at least one pronunciation.
Are you saying Sheen or Shein?
Shein, because it just sounds like a thing. I should say it that way. I have no idea how to say it.
I feel like you're right. I feel like it's Shein, but totally.
All right, I'm pulling up a YouTube video while we're sitting here. Hold on.
Can we hear it live? Let's just listen.
No, hold on. I'm listening. You're not going to be able to hear this.
Oh yeah, you've got headphones on.
How do you say this name? It is a surname, a family name, and a famous clothing and fashion brand name. Oh, it is Shein.
Yeah,
because it used to be called She Insider.
Aha.
What? Holy cow! So they shortened it to Shein and then dropped the hyphen to result in Shein. That's amazing.
Little bit of reading rainbow for you today.
The more you know. Okay. Long story short, I think app stores are undervalued customer acquisition channels. And if you can knock out multiple birds with one stone, and let's say that all of these headless plays have a direct ladder into mobile commerce, which I do think is super important, then hey, maybe there's a greater path to digital omni-channel for our retail and direct-to-consumer brands. So
yeah, and I think having a unified backend is what it's all about. Because I want to kind of swing around the other side to something I said when you said what's next level, which is in context purchasing. I feel like that's something that you've been talking about since the beginning of Future Commerce. Like in context is sort of the flip side of an app where people buy at the places where they are in context of Netflix or in context of the video game that they're playing or whatever it is, instead of these are these stores that we've created, these sort of manufactured spaces on the web that represents our catalogs. An app, I think, is one side of it, which is like a curated experience that you specifically downloaded and engage in. And the other side of it is being in someone else's experience and offering a purchase experience there. And so those are the two places that I see actually the idea of headless being really powerful, because it actually can underpin a lot of that. So
I think that's true, but the other argument would be from a bunch of composable commerce advocates, including former show sponsor Bright Pearl, is that maybe having not a unified backend, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but it's an argument. Maybe it's not a unified backend, but maybe it's disparate front ends that are unified by operations and unified by data orchestration, order management,
right,
and CRM and CDP. Because the fact is, point of sale, unless it's Shopify and you're running Shopify point of sale, it's going to be, you're not going to have a common backend, right? The fact is, you will be in channels in the future too that will not have the ability to have direct access to this common, this theoretical common backend. Even doing business overseas, if you're doing business in China, you have to physically locate, if you're doing any size of business in China, you'll have to physically locate your technology investment in China. That doesn't mean, that means that you like the e-commerce platform that you deploy in China might be different to the one that you have in the United States. It's the reason why Allbirds, when they went to China, had to buy Magento. You know?
Well, and is that a function of having like the wrong system in place to begin with, or is that a function?
Well, I mean, Allbirds started out on Shopify. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
should they have been on Magento to begin with?
If
no,
they
I
had,
mean,
if they had a roadmap for like, or maybe
they have 3 products, Brian. They had four or 5 products. Like they're the poster child for why you should not buy Magento even at their scale.
Or allow me to posit like Shopify is deficient. Like Shopify is deficient. That's
or maybe just being multi-channel by nature, you're going to have fractured and fragmented points of sale everywhere, all the time. Orchestration is the future. Orchestration, OMS, and CRM and CDP.
Like I agree. I do agree that like there will be a certain level of like disparate like channels, and that
they're all if there's more than one, if there's more than one ever, then you have this problem.
Yes, that's true. So you're going to need both. Like that's my view.
So why not keep the e-commerce platform that brung you? And why do you need headless? I don't know. This is like an existential question. It seems like
I don't know. Here's my view. Headless is going to set you up for more success, so that you don't have to have as many disparate systems.
If you're building right now, it's like let's say this a different way. If you're building right now, how do you build? Are you building headless? Or is that still too complicated to be like, well,
depends on what you're
maybe
building.
I'll do it later.
Depends on what you're building. Like,
okay, well, give me an example of something that you build on headless. Okay, by the way, this is now my favorite conversation we've ever had. This is great rebrand episode.
I think so. If you're going to go launch a 3 SKU product in the US and you have limited capital, then Shopify is a no-brainer, right?
Well, if you have unlimited cap, hold on, you qualified it there. Unlimited capital.
Sorry, did I say unlimited? I meant to say limited capital.
You said limited. I'm saying, what do you do? Why would that change if you had unlimited capital? What does the amount of investment matter?
Well, it depends on what your vision is for the product. Like if you're going to go multinational and you're going to launch in multiple channels and you've got, several API type integrations that you need to bring to the table, like that. If your vision is scale, then why not launch with something that you can scale with initially?
I mean, Allbirds, to make the argument and use Allbirds, they're still on Shopify in every region that allows them to be on Shopify. Yes. They chose it from the beginning, and it's working today. By the way, they still have no site search.
We should have Allbirds on the show.
We should, but now they're all big deals because they're going public. That was a thing we hadn't covered on the show just yet. We have not done. You know what we need to do? Here's what we need to do.
Told you there was stuff we need to cover. We didn't even get into the dark stuff yet. Like we got a lot to cover.
I wanted the dark stuff. I don't think we're going to get to the dark stuff. I really, really wanted. I don't know. I don't think that building headless is de facto.
No.
Even if. I think it's like edge case. It's if you're Nordstrom and you're rebuilding e-commerce and you only do it every 10 years, you're seriously considering you're sort of like hedging bets as to what is the future of your digital retail channel and what affords you the most flexibility to make that to whatever it needs to be in the next 10 years. Think about where commerce was 10 years ago. We're still making websites on Dreamweaver and had to check stuff out from a share drive, right?
I feel like maybe
that's the way we built websites.
Nordstrom might still be doing that. No,
Nordstrom runs on Dreamweaver. You heard it here first. Probably true. But that's how then yes, okay. But is it still unlimited capital? No, they're still going to do things on a shoestring budget, right?
Yeah, everyone does things. Everyone does things on a shoestring budget. Let's just put that out there.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the flipping truth? Also, site building feels like it's a commoditized practice. Like building something is it's getting cheaper every day, and the tools that allow you to have some sort of meaningful control over the build after it's done means that the builder has less to do, right? If you're the marketer, the toolkit is better now for you to adapt and like evolve it over time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I see like one angle of this where it's like, if you're going to build something pretty basic, you're 100% right. Things are cheaper and they're easier. But if you're going to go integrate in the full stack you just talked about, CDP, ERP, OMS, PIM, like the full thing, I feel like things are getting kind of pricier on the from another angle, because
I mean,
like,
that's the joke here, is that all of these things are really, all these like the things you just, the acronym soup.
Yeah.
That is all just unbundling of what e-commerce platforms traditionally have been.
Except for they didn't, though. Not really.
Yeah, they had a CRM. It was just crappy.
It was
they
crappy.
Had an OMS.
No,
it was crappy.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, right. Here's what I'm getting at. Here is the crux of this. There are a set of incredible tools out there that cost a lot of money to bring together and a lot of money to pay for licenses of. And so everything is, if you want best in class, everything is getting more expensive at an enterprise level. Like it is a lot of money to go build the stack that we're talking about. It also wasn't very profitable in the past. Like it cost.
That's true.
Yeah. So the cost
according
is there.
According to a friend of the show,
yeah,
No Best Practices author Alex Greifeld, she would tell you that enterprise software is really just proxy for anything that gets a VP a promotion.
Okay, well, that very well may be true. I'm not gonna, Alex. I'm not gonna argue with Alex.
There's software bloat. There is software bloat, right?
Yes.
Like all right, let's take a break. I want to come back to more points, but this has been great. Let's take a break and hear a word from our sponsors, which is actually quite late in the show at this point. So I don't know how this is going to work, Chris. But we'll find a way to make it work. And we'll be back in part 2.
An hour 20.
We're going to go to the dark side.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the dark side.
Was this the light side? I feel like this wasn't that light.
No, I mean, it's just, I'm being combative. That doesn't mean it's dark. This is like totally, this is just our dynamic of our relationship.
I love it.
Yeah, stay tuned. Future Commerce is brought to you by Group Buy. Did you know that Group Buy is a product discovery platform that is powered by Google Cloud Retail AI? And Google and Group Buy are bringing the future of e-commerce to you by setting the standard for product discovery in the market. This Google Cloud Retail AI includes search and recommendations, personalization, merchandising, analytics, and data enrichment, and it helps you to leverage your online and in-store data through Group Buy to increase conversions and to reach your revenue goals. Group Buy powers some of the world's most highly converting retail and wholesale websites, such as Crate & Barrel, CVS Pharmacy, BJ's Wholesale, and Signet Jewelers. And on average, Group Buy's customers see a 40% increase in conversion rate. So I want you to start empowering your customers today and scale your business today with Group Buy. You can get 2 months of implementation for free by going to groupbuyinc.com/future-commerce today. That's groupbuyinc.com/future-commerce. Yep, that's a mouthful. It is groupbuyinc.com/future-commerce and get 2 months of implementation for free. Thanks to Group Buy for sponsoring this episode of Future Commerce. I'm a big fan of using the right tool for the right job. And I'm an even bigger fan of piloting and proving out a capability for your business before you go and throw a ton of money at it. And that's why I am a fan of our newest sponsor at Future Commerce, Wix e-commerce. Wix, the industry-leading content management platform, is now also a growing global e-commerce platform with advanced online storefront features. Solo creators, merch stores, limited releases, micro e-com sites, and oh so much more can be launched in under a day on Wix. Wix e-commerce lets you take control of your customer base and build repeat sales channels with integrated CRM and loyalty tools. You know, Wix might be the right tool for the right job for an entrepreneur, an omnichannel retailer, a brand to get up and run and launch and scale their online stores successfully. Why don't you give it a try? What have you got to lose? Go to wix.com/e-commerce today and join over 700,000 active stores already selling worldwide with Wix e-commerce. That's Wix, WIX.com/e-commerce. This podcast is brought to you by Gorgeous, the e-commerce help desk that turns customer service into a profit center. I don't know if you've ever had an e-commerce experience like I just had, where my order shipped late, it took forever to arrive, and when it did, there were things missing, and the things that were in the box wasn't what I ordered. Nothing went right. So I reached out to the company to make it right, and every time I talked to them, I felt like I had to start over and have the same conversation again and again and again. I wish that they had been running Gorgeous. Gorgeous is the e-commerce help desk that helps turn customer service into one seamless conversation with your customer in every channel. It's powered by machine learning and automation, and it turns visitors into shoppers. It can unlock sales through live text, chat, social media, and increase your ad effectiveness by as much as the equivalent of 5% increase in ad spend. I would have had so much better of an experience in making what went wrong go right if the brand had been using Gorgeous. They combine all those communication channels like SMS and Instagram DMs, live chat, phone, and everything else all into one organized place, and then they integrate into your e-commerce store. If you're on Magento, BigCommerce, or Shopify, you're going to be able to quickly see customer data and order history and take action right from within your help desk. 7,000 customers, including Steve Madden, Princess Polly, Machine Layer, they all use Gorgeous, and I want to give you 2 months free. Get it today by going to gorgeous.com/futurecommerce. That's GORGIAS.com/futurecommerce and get 2 months free and make your customer service a little bit better with Gorgeous. All right, and we're back. I don't know how we're going to glue this whole thing together.
And we're back. That's exactly what I was going to say. And we're back.
And we're back. There was a Matt Damon SNL skit that is burned into my memory where they do this radio, college. No, it was like a morning drive radio talk show sort of a thing where they go to commercial or they go to to play a song, and they're arguing. I think it's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and they're arguing back and forth in between commercial breaks, and then the commercial ends and they're like, oh, we're back. It was a real vibe.
I feel like I watched that, but it was
90s.
Not emblazoned on my brain it's on yours.
Emblazoned on my brain. Just to wrap up, I want to come back to MailChimp real quick, only because the Twitter sphere has turned on, it went from the story was, isn't it incredible to have the largest private market exit of all time, $12 billion, isn't that incredible? That's so incredible. How commendable. Ben Chestnut, what an incredible thing that they've built, launch and iterate, yada, yada. But now in in a mere matter of hours, it turned into, and this is why venture capital is more progressive, because venture capital would have made multimillionaires out of hundreds of employees, seemingly in a short period of time, as opposed to what it seems like is sort of on the face of it is that this $12 billion is locked up to, whoever had ownership stake in the business, and not necessarily redistributed to the employees in the operation. And so therefore, Brian, venture capital is
get out your
more progressive
pitchforks.
And yeah.
Yeah,
MailChimp
I think
is
it's
greedy.
Funny. I do think
it's greedy, Brian.
It's funny. Last year in 9x9, which by the way, 9x9.report,
yeah.
Get there.
That's a thing. And I think we might have a teaser at the beginning of this show about it.
We really might. But yes, 9x9 2021 off the absolute.
Yeah, that report is going to be amazing, and it better be. We put a lot of work into it over many months. But yes, what about last year's 9x9?
Yeah. We had the 100 Club. So is the 100 Club inherently selfish? Is that what I'm hearing?
So this is the good question. 100 Club being the Audrey McLaughlin, having coined the phrase of folks that retained 100% ownership of their business and didn't, sell part
give
of it
up control.
Give up control to private equity, being 100 Club being 100%. is it selfish? I mean, I don't know, but there is a break point at which 12 billion. I mean, anyone with any billion, maybe. I mean, what is life-changing money? This is going to be like a really interesting conversation to have. But what kind of money would be life-changing to where you don't need to work anymore? What is that number in? You know, I know we have transitory inflation right now. There's an SEO phrase for you. But in 2021, as we record this, September of 2021, what is life-changing money?
Definition, whatever Scott Galloway has, because
that guy has no F's given. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure how much that is. It could be, I don't know.
And the guy is wrong about every single, stock call that he makes. There's an anti-Scott Galloway index.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter to him because he has enough money that it doesn't matter to him. So whatever that number is, I'm not sure what that number is. I don't know how much.
According to CelebrityNetWorth.com, Scott Galloway is worth $30 million.
Well, there you go. $30 million. That is enough.
See,
money.
I don't think it's I don't think it's that big of a number. So from 30 million to 12 billion is a pretty long haul, right?
Yeah.
So it begs the question as to which it's like, at what point do you redistribute wealth to employees, and like how much do you think the founding team
we're having right now? Like at what point is privatized
at what
socialism?
Point,
I just wrote about this.
But I'm saying, like, at what point? What's the tipping point at which you become greedy? That's the question. Like, why does Twitter have to turn on everything? Like, at what point is it? Oh, well, venture capital is actually more progressive because it redistributes the wealth. And look at what Stripe has done, and look what Uber did, and look at all these, venture-backed darlings. So, like, they have gone on to create a firm too, have created an incredible amount of wealth and operators who went on to then create their own path to create more wealth and create more and more incredible operators, right?
Right. No, I hear you loud and clear.
How many people leave MailChimp to go found the next Stripe? You can't see this at home. I'm holding up a 0 with my fingers. I don't know how many ex-MailChimp people are out there founding the next great startup. Like, there's an argument to be made here, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it is good to have multiple people involved because it does spur more. Like, if you look at even Silicon Valley, there's sort of like a ripple effect that happened. I look at Seattle, which was sort of the opposite, right? Where it felt like more.
Oh, it is that. Yeah, Seattle's actually like the hotbed of the place to sort of keeping the valuation locked in, a few either concentrated within a few folks,
public,
absolutely,
private equity or family. And so like what happened in Seattle for a long time is finally changing. How
did you work Seattle into this conversation?
I did. But it was all really big or really small. There weren't a lot of mid-market companies. If you talk to a lot of like recruiters or people in sort of like that were well connected in the area, they will tell you for a long time Seattle was devoid of mid-market companies. It was Avalara actually really broke the mold here. And there were a few others, Avo and
isn't Wayfair is a good example of one in
Wayfair's not Seattle.
Wayfair's Boston.
Nope, sorry. Yeah.
Zulily. Wasn't Zulily venture backed?
It was, yes. I think so.
I'm gonna grasp at straw. I don't know nothing at all. I know nothing, Jon Snow, about the.
Anyway, long story short, like
how do we get to Seattle?
Seattle and the Bay Area were like the extreme ends of
opposing forces, right?
And
you've got Microsoft. Basically, what you're talking about is like Microsoft, Costco, the other one, Amazon.
The other one, no. And things are finally spinning out of Amazon. Like, finally. We look at, Shipium and Jason Murray coming out of
you have to drop Shipium. They're very early, and they would admit so as well. I think that it's promising. But, okay. Anyway, we had to throw that last little tidbit in. I don't know why. It's like a dog coming back to its vomit. I had to come back to the MailChimp story. I apologize. Can we talk about Telfar TV? And then, by the way, we're going to get to the dark side. We're going to talk about Retail X here in a minute. So hang on.
Wait, Retail X was your dark side dark horse?
I can't remember what the dark side is anymore because we shifted gears. But
this is like
Retail X, I think actually later? Is. You want to talk about Retail X right now? You want to do that?
Should we talk Retail X or Telfar? I mean, they're both interesting to me.
Here's a great segue between the two. I bought a Telfar bag and I wore it to Retail X. It's not even.
Oh my god!
That is completely.
You know what's the
true.
Best part is when you identified someone else who had a Telfar bag in Chicago, and
we were pointing at each other like hey,
nod. You gave them yourself. Yeah. There must be a secret Telfar.
It's a
sign.
Jeep Wave.
Yeah, Jeep Wave. Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
It's the It's the sort of like the
like an eye raised,
challenging,
like it's like a little
whatever the like challenging of heteronormativity Jeep Wave is. That's what the Telfar people do to each other. That's what we do to each other.
I don't know what it is. Let
me tell you how much I love my Telfar bag. It's a shopping bag, by the way. It's orange. It's a medium shopping bag.
It's basically the old Magento checkout icon.
Oh, don't say that. I do love this
demo
color.
Store.
I love this orange. I love the orange. It's a beautiful color. It's a great bag. It's a great bag, and I'm loving the bag more than I loved my backpack. I had an Away backpack for the longest time.
I use an Away backpack. It's fair,
but it started falling apart. And I'm loving the Telfar bag, and it's a bit of a switch up.
You know what I have to say about the Telfar bag? It stole my color. Look at my wall right now. What color is it?
Oh yeah, you have an orange wall, but the Telfar bag's orange. A little. Is it a Telfar orange?
I mean, my camera on this particular computer is not the greatest.
The next time I come to your place, I'm going to hold the Telfar bag. I'm going to hold my shopping bag, my medium shopping bag, up to your wall, and we're going to see.
Definitely in the right light.
We're going to see how close it is.
Pretty close.
in the right light, we all look good, Brian. So Telfar TV launching. What's really interesting about Telfar TV and sort of the latest of the content to commerce.
It's the reverse. The reverse.
Commerce to content. The commerce to content.
It's the Amazon model.
Is that there's a strong push around user-generated content being the cornerstone of sort of the 24-hour programming model. You know what's really fascinating is that very few companies have dared to say, hey, we're going to do 24-hour programming. And Monocle's one of them. Monocle Radio, I don't know if you ever listened to Monocle Radio or if you ever shopped at the Monocle store. But it's like, there's like a vibe. You listen to Poolsuite, right? You're on Poolside FM. You listen to Poolside sometimes, right?
I do. Yeah, it's like my like sometimes work music when I'm not listening to the Strokes.
Okay. Yeah. So there are a few brands that can pull off the hey, we're sort of a media company now. Telfar might be it, and I think putting it around the community of like very enthusiastic customers is uniquely Telfar, and yeah, I'm very impressed. Telfar may make an appearance in our 9x9 report, and
preview, sneak peek, spoiler. It does.
I don't know. It might be in there somewhere. And I think for all of the reasons that you may think that Telfar would be on there, it's not just because of the media launch here. I think that that's only recently happened, but I also think that if there is a brand that's indicative of promoting gender neutrality and specifically sort of upending the hype culture and drop culture around trying to make something that's become like an luxury purchase to be more accessible to everybody by promising anyone who wants to buy one to buy it at the retail price and then like we'll ship it to you eventually. If they did that with sneakers, I mean, who else is doing this? It's kind of incredible, like inclusivity being at the core in both access and in values. And I think that that's hard to find nowadays. And so let's see what the media launch is like. I think it's really interesting.
You say like access, like it's still a
$200 bag, Brian. But there's $200 things that people buy all the time. Yeah, I have a $128 pair of pants and I wear it with a $150 hoodie. I mean, it's not that far off.
Here's what I will say. It's a flex for the next generation. How's that?
I'm telling you, there are running shoes that are more expensive. They're like,
no,
it's an expensive price point, but as far as, purses go,
yes, no, I get it. It's a budget purse.
I think it's a very accessible purse. That's the thing I would say.
Yes,
you can certainly spend a lot less. But to have a bag that's sort of a statement bag that says something and identifies yourself with a community, it immediately identifies you with a community. Like immediately. Right. You're saying something when you carry a Telfar bag.
I mean,
that's
they
impressive.
Have a secret sign that I haven't been let in on yet that they show to each other when they pass each other on the street.
The Jeep Wave. Maybe that's the title of this episode. Now I feel like we cannot pivot to Retail X because I don't know. I kind of want to.
I actually do want to pivot to Retail X.
For those who don't know, Brian, what is Retail X?
Retail X is a conference in Chicago that's held annually. It used to be called IRCE and have a couple of other different names because a bunch of conferences merged to become Retail X.
Typically 40, 50,000 attendees, right? 250,000 square foot.
No, not quite. No,
expo.
No, not quite. Not quite. It was more like 15 to 20, I think. But
no, brother, go look at the website. I'm reading it right now.
Well, I don't know. That would be impressive.
Okay.
It's
somewhere between 15 and 40,000, depending on who you ask.
Yes, that sounds about right to me.
It's a lot of people. It is the biggest retail trade show outside of NRF.
Yes, correct.
That happens in North America.
That is correct. Yes, 100%. There's and in a very impressive venue at McCormick in Chicago, and something that was actually kind of a highlight because I like Chicago, like an annual highlight for me.
It was a highlight, and it was a spring. No. It was an early summer event. It was usually in June.
Yes, right? Which was actually a much better time to
well-timed.
Have it than
well-timed.
Much prefer Chicago in June than I prefer Chicago in August. And I can give a lot of reasons why that to be the case, especially if you decide to go for a long run in Chicago. June
along the lakefront.
Better than
Brian is let's take a little pause. Brian and I go for a long run along the lake, which started later than it should have. I was trying to get it for like a 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning start.
Yeah, but
Brian
we were
wasn't
up
having
to like
no, you were
morning.
Up. I went to sleep. I went to sleep at like
lies.
I went to sleep earlier. I went to sleep way earlier. It doesn't matter. We're not going to have this conversation on this show. But the long run along the lake. I'm from Florida. I'm a Florida runner, and I am used to running in the heat and humidity. And I had just come off of a marathon like 7 days prior, so I had tons of training under my belt. And this poor guy, Brian.
If you didn't know, in case you haven't heard, I'm from a place called Seattle.
Oh my gosh, he's from the Pacific Northwest. If you haven't heard yet, anyway, it's a very interesting. It's very interesting when you like leave a weather that you've been like a climate you train in and go to somewhere else. I feel like a superhuman when I go to where you are because the air is drier and it's cooler, right? Yeah. And I feel like I can run faster and further and need less water. And it's anyway.
I feel like
that's not what this whole thing was about.
I feel like a baby when I come to somewhere that's hot and humid.
Yeah, it kills you. Okay, but that is not how Retail X was this time. This was I think we've kind of shored up our point of view here. This is the sacrificial lamb.
Yes, absolutely.
Of the return to like retail trade conferences.
So here's what I think was like
the fact they even had this show is a miracle.
It's a miracle. That's amazing.
It should not have happened, to be honest with you. The timing of it around the resurgence of Delta, happening in late August. The fact that it even happened and there was anyone there on the trade show floor to begin with, no matter how small it was, it's less than a quarter of the size than it was in any prior year. Lots of empty space, pretty much no retail attendees. No one, no one from the merchant class.
There were some that just,
As I said in the census, the merchant to vendor ratio was worse than the male to female ratio on Grindr. And that is just an objective fact. There was very, very few people in any of the sessions. It was quite empty. But we had to have one of these, right? Like we had to have a retail trade event.
I thank you, RetailX. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, thank you.
This.
And is Internet Retailer still involved in that show at all?
I think,
I'm not sure.
is it a brand still? I'm not entirely sure, but thank you, RetailX, and all involved, all the people involved, all the brands involved. Like that had to happen because now we can have NRF.
Digital Commerce 360 is what Internet Retailer is called now. Although the IR 500 still exists. You know what was the best part of this show? It was the best partner marketing event that I've ever been to. I had so much time one-on-one with folks in the in the ecosystem of what makes commerce happen. You know, the commerce, you don't deliver commerce in a silo anymore. You know, if you have a Shopify store, you've got apps. And if you've got a Magento,
a lot of time with Klaviyo, a lot of time with Gorgeous. It was great.
Those are all, those are all sponsors, past, present, and future of this show. But we also deploy them. Like we see how they are used in real world contexts every day. And the fact that we got to meet with them and spend time with those folks unencumbered, usually we're all running back and forth to meeting with clients, right? Anyway, I had a great time at the show, but it was a ghost town. Like there wasn't a lot of business to be had, but there was a lot of partner to partner conversation that we were able to engage in. And that was really valuable. And by the way, we helped participate with an event with the folks from Gorgeous and Klaviyo who put on a
breakfast.
Who put on a breakfast, a networking breakfast. And let me tell you about this breakfast. We had 99.9% attendance of our RSVP list. I've never seen anything like it. We only had one person that had RSVP'd who did not come to that event. And it was because she was in a car accident. She wound up not coming. And anyway, I've never had that happen ever. I think everybody's excited to be back at an event, no matter how big or small. And we're going to find out what happens at the next one, because Grocery Shop is next week as of the time of this recording. Yep. This should come out within a couple days. So Grocery Shop still will not have happened when this lands. But there's something, I hope we get a few of these out of our system in 2021 so that when we get to NRF, that there's a little bit of an atmosphere of we are getting, we're getting ready to, let's do some business, right? Let's do some business. And I realize there are challenges in the world that we all need to approach this cautiously, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Because people are spending money, people are buying things, right? Retail is still happening. The venues that it's happening in are different, and the way that we can, hopefully rise to meet some industry challenges with greater collaboration. And what better way to collaborate than for us to be able to meet face to face, with appropriate precautions. So,
yeah, totally agree. No, and I think you're right. Like for the people that were ready to engage. Which, not everyone, and that's okay. For those that were ready to engage, they were ready to engage. I think that's one of the things that you're kind of getting at here is like the attendance of events was like the RSVP to show up rate, to actual attendance rate was high. And I think that's because for those that are ready to get out, they are very, very ready to get out and do things. And I
am very, very ready to get out.
I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. And yet, and enough of it where, like, again, I'm glad that RetailX did this. And best of luck, RetailX. I hope this was enough to give you the boost you need to be back next year, because I'm actually afraid that if it didn't happen this year, it wasn't going to happen. And into the
it's
future.
True.
And so I hope that it was enough of a boost to get you to the next ball game.
I think so. I think it will be. In looking back, I think we won't look at RetailX as a failure. We're going to look at it as, it's the very long, slow ramp back up into, hopefully some sort of, I don't want to say normalcy. I don't think we're ever going to be normal ever again. But, some form of return to physical in person. I don't know how else to say it. There's also a Women in Retail event that'll be happening in October, in mid-October, I think like the 12th through the 14th or something like that in Miami, which Miami, hey, that's the place to go put an event if you don't, if you want to be guaranteed that event will not be encumbered by local and state restrictions. So there's a place that most events I think might move to in this, somewhat near or not too distant future. And that's kind of filling out the docket. DTCX, which is a gorgeous event. That one's going to be online only.
Commerce Next
this year. Commerce Next is incredibly restricted to the fact that, God bless you, Veronica, I was uninvited from the show.
Wait, what?
Merchants only. Yeah, merchants only. Only merchants. Merchants only. I've said it 4 times just to really underscore how they're being.
I'm a little confused. But that's okay.
No, it's sponsors and merchants only. I forgot the sponsors part.
Oh, okay,
and they're all out of sponsorships, so they're constricting the attendance to sort of meet the sort of indoor requirements, the space requirements.
Got it.
For New York State. That is just a thing that is unavoidable for this year. Do you think we'll see the WB Research events come back anytime soon?
I mean, I think if you go look at their site right now, I think they are planning to bring them back. I could be wrong about that, but last I looked,
every time you say I could be wrong about that, I start wondering if why you even said it, because you're usually right.
This is last I looked. I think they were planning to continue on. So
there's theoretically, it looks like there's online only for, as far as I can see. Yeah, even the Future Stores event in October.
Whoa. No, hold on.
Yeah.
No, I see stuff that might be in person starting in October.
Not in the United States and not in retail.
Not in retail. But e-tail Australia, that looks like it's in person. That can't be
good
right.
luck getting into basically e-tail Palm Springs looks like it might be the first.
Well, it's in February. Yeah. That's coming up.
Yeah, February of 22.
Okay.
I mean,
so
that's
what I was looking at, actually, I think.
Okay. Long story short, Q1 2022, fingers crossed, we'll be back to some kind of normalcy.
Oh my gosh. That was the last event that I attended, was e-tail West.
E-tail Palm Springs is what we call it.
E-tail Palm Springs.
That was the last event you attended?
Yes, it was.
It's so funny. Future Stores Miami was the last event I attended.
I wanted to come to that.
We did a whole video thing. Future Commerce did a whole video thing there.
I know. It was
amazing.
interviewed
Saria Zoot when she only had the Check Your Pulse newsletter. She hadn't launched her various digital properties yet at that point.
Well,
which, by the way, I missed that newsletter so much.
Yes.
It was fairly new. Fairly new.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, she's incredible.
Also, that was a Ministry of Supply interview, I feel like.
Yeah. We had a bunch. We had Neighborhood Goods, Ministry of Supply. And we started ramping up video operation. I would have thought 2020 was the year that we had a big video launch. I mean, we had done a bunch. We did video at in 2019, I believe, at e-tail Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that there were, we were going to have a lot of these a big push into video, but it's interesting, the pandemic and sort of, I tested a bunch of, single camera stuff, site teardowns. We were experimental last year. But I think the freedom of not traveling allowed us to, and this is, I'm spinning into a promo for 9x9, and then we can wrap it if you want. It allowed us, it like freed us up to be able to focus more on writing and being very, developing that muscle and putting out content every single week that's, high quality, and then creating, the space for us to have quarterly reports and to have big omnibus reports twice a year. One of which is 9x9, big hit last year, and this year we expect it to be even bigger and badder than last year. So much, I don't know, like so many really ambitious swings that we took in this one in trying to make the quant and qual so much better. Great insights, and covering 9 categories and 9 brands apiece that we believe are changing our world. So 9x9.report is where you can go and sign up to be one of the first people to read it and get an advanced copy before it comes out to the rest of the world. And that will be very, very soon. It'll be launching very soon. Go to 9x9.report. Brian, do you have any last words? I'll give you the last word, brother.
I mean, the last word is download 9x9.
Is that it? Okay.
Like, it's gonna be get it on the advanced list. I'm gonna just repeat what Philip said. I'm stoked about it, and
so stoked.
We put a lot of work into it.
The team's bigger than ever at Future Commerce, and the folks that we have in the Future Commerce Expert Network. I think there's over 80 members of that, which is over on LinkedIn. But the way that you get onto the Future Commerce Expert Network is you can apply by subscribing to Future Commerce Insiders at futurecommerce.fm/subscribe. And your welcome email there will give you some insight onto what you need to do to be able to apply to be in this FC Expert Network. But we, in collaboration with them and in some, really, really smart folks in our ecosystem, we were able to put this incredibly comprehensive overview of 81 brands that we think are not just meaningful, but world changing. I really, truly believe we're all impacted by the investments and by the way, impacted doesn't always mean necessarily for the better. I'll leave it at that. How's that?
Mostly things, it does.
Mostly for the better. But some things I think are notable, and but you question what the motives are, right? And so I think that's a delicious little morsel to whet your appetite. So maybe you should get on the advanced list and find out what those brands are and why we believe that they're noteworthy. 9x9.report. Okay. We've had so many commercials in this very long episode. I love it. Thank you for listening to Future Commerce. Remember, we can all change the world because we believe that commerce can change the world. And so let's try to do that and bring about the world that we want to all live in. Thanks for listening to Future Commerce. And until next time.